Okay. This really feels like a deja vu moment. Maybe even a glitch in the matrix, so to speak. So, by the time you're seeing this, the track day video has been uploaded and you've probably seen it. For those that are the OG group. So it didn't go too good. Bob didn't run so well. Let me put it that way. It went a string of 5.0s and 8.0s in the 8th and 1/4 mile, respectively. So, 171 miles an hour, I think is what it was. That is somewhere in the neighborhood of about a half a second slower than what it should be, maybe even 0.6 or so. So if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, then you really need to watch the last video to explain the O-ring groove problem that I think we're having. So I've got the engine just about tore apart, and it is really close to getting the cylinder heads off of it. And I had to go in and grab the camera and make sure that I caught all this stuff on video so I could show you guys. I'll show you guys everything, all the good stuff and all the bad stuff together. So again, I haven't pulled the heads off, and it is going to be first shown here on camera. Kind of a trial and error thing. I do believe that I am right, and I'm sure the head gaskets are gone on the driver's side, or the head gasket. I would expect to see a pretty healthy leak, maybe even getting into the coolant passages. And you may remember that I installed / use a coolant temperature and coolant pressure sensor from Low Dollar Motorsports since the Holly has been hooked up. So that's good and bad. The good thing is you get to keep an eye on what the coolant pressure is. The bad thing is that you're keeping an eye on the coolant pressure. And what I mean by that is we really never had any kind of baseline data for this setup to know what it should or shouldn't be, or where it runs at or doesn't run at. Now, what I have noticed on every single run, the coolant pressure raises all the way through the end of the run. One might think that combustion gases have been getting into the coolant pressure, or coolant, or into the radiator. I don't even know what I'm saying. And if that is the case, then we have truly been battling this ever since the car's been back together, and that's kind of what I think has happened. But we're going to get a little bit more to the bottom of that as soon as we pull these heads off. So let us get started on that and see what we find. All right, first things first, we got all the studs out of the driver's side. Let's go ahead and pull it off. Okay, first inspection is, yeah, we got some oh shit, all the holes are leaking on the driver's side. Every single one of them leak bad. Looks like it's only towards the outside of the block as far as I can tell. Let me get the passenger side off as well, and then we'll take the camera around and look at the block and the heads. All right, time for the passenger side. This is the one that I expected to be the worst. Okay, pretty much what I expected to find. All right, this is the passenger side cylinder head that you're looking at, and it's pretty much exactly what I expected to find. Everything looks perfect, but if if you look real close in these areas right here, you can see where the sealer is blown away from there. Same for there, and there, and there. And we look at the gasket, it gets a little more obvious. You can see it real good right there. And right there. It's always in the same spot on these things. See, it gets even more obvious when you look at it that way. So that one's pretty bad. There's no material missing from there or there. It takes the cylinder head between the two studs. It takes the cylinder head and it does this. That's the classic lifting the head phenomenon that you hear about on small block Fords. That's just what it is. So we have to come up with a better kind of head gasket sealing program, which is what we're working on now. So let's get a look at the driver's side head. It's pretty much exactly the same. Let's see if we can get the glare off of there. Leaking there, there, even more obvious there. And this one's still stuck on the head. Yep. Every one of them leaking right there at the bottom. And looks like the top is probably sealed up okay. So the heads still look brand new inside, which is kind of what we expected with only having a couple dozen passes on them. So I think the only thing that we're going to do to this engine during the winter time, right now at least, is to put the thick or the tall hoops in the block, and then the bigger receiver grooves in the head. May change the cam and lifters, may even port the heads and port the intake, and that's probably gonna be about the only changes for the engine, just to you know, keep it reasonable budget, you know, all that kind of stuff. We do have some big plans for the car though. Actually, you know what? I'll show you what we're gonna do right now. Okay, for the car, we're gonna put a tubular style front end on it. Maybe even change the K-member, but we're gonna cut the front end off right here at the strut towers on both sides. Turbo goes over here, front and center. Radiator is gonna lay kind of down at an angle like this. And the pipe for the turbo is actually gonna go straight up into the intake manifold. So we should lose some, we're going to lose some weight. We're going to gain a lot of working room, which is the big thing. And hopefully gain some performance out of this thing. That's actually the end goal for everything. We're also going to take some more weight out of the car. In the middle and the back of the car, the door bars, the crash bars in the doors are still in the car. There's a lot of smaller pieces of metal in the car that don't need to be there for a race car that we're going to take out. So we're going to do all of that stuff as well. We'll have to take the engine completely apart so they can do the machine work to it, but I'm not going to put rings and bearings in it because it's only got, I don't know, 24, 28 passes on it, something like that. So there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. Pistons look brand new. The heads still look brand new. Everything looks spotless. So we're just going to call that good because there's no need in spending another couple $1,000s on it for no reason. Now what we will do is we'll go ahead and check the wrist pins and make sure they're okay. That could be the one thing that we would change, would be to put the thick wall wrist pins in it and go ahead and rebalance the thing, but I don't think we're going to need to do that. I think severe detonation was probably the cause of the bending of the wrist pins before, and we don't have that problem anymore, so we're just going to keep rolling, see how it goes. All right, so that's probably a pretty good place to end the video. Just as I suspected, the head gaskets are starting to leak again quickly. I think that that's primarily due to a bad choice in head gasket on my part. I went to a thicker gasket, and the O-ring grooves really don't lend themselves to that, the way they're set up. So live and learn. I think I said it earlier in the video, we're gonna go to the Pro Stock style or the Alan Johnson style, or whoever's name is attached to these hoops now. It's a continuous circle that goes around the chamber or around the cylinder, sticks out of the head. I said it wrong earlier. It sticks out of the cylinder head further and crushes into the block further. Supposedly that's what all the fast guys are using. Maybe someday I'll be fast and I will look back and say, I should have done that when I was slow. So anyways, that is the end of the video, guys. Thanks everybody for stopping by, and as usual, please do hit the subscribe button, the notification button, the thumbs up button, and share it with all your buddies. Thanks. We'll see you in the next one.